So you're trying to figure out whether or not videography is a great career choice for you, and I think I've got some pretty solid answers for you. As a lifelong creative and a part-time college professor, I advise on this subject all of the time in terms of how do you make your creative pursuits a career that you can really support your lifestyle and your family with. The first thing that I always look at when we're talking about industry and whether or not it's a great creative choice is to look at the demand for that particular creative endeavor. A saying that I love is that ideas stay in the garage. Opportunities are what drive business. And I really want us to think about your creative endeavors with a long-term business focus and realize that the opportunities that exist in the marketplace are really what's going to get you paid, not simply the creative ideas or how great you can edit. In today's world, where people are constantly consuming social media with a visual focus, you are invisible as a brand if you don't have a visual presence. So the demand for videography and photography has been at an all-time high, and I personally don't see that slowing down anytime soon. When I finished my MBA and started to work in this creative field in a slightly different way, I had this understanding that businesses of all size, but particularly small businesses without a marketing department, are going to need visual partners in order to execute what their brand identity was and to bring new products to life. For me, I saw videography as the ultimate long-term opportunity because A, there wasn't a ton of people that were in that space that could speak business and creativity the way that I could, and also the perpetual need for people to consume content. On average, the individual scrolls 300 feet a day on social platforms, and that number is ever increasing. So the demand or the need for visual images is as high as it could possibly be, and I perceive that that's not going to slow down anytime soon. So the first part about looking at a creative career, is there a need for my service? Is there a demand within the marketplace? I would say that answer is 100% yes. So now that we've established demand, the next logical question in is videography a great career choice for you is to think about salary. How much does the average videographer make here in the US? If we look at salary.com, we can see that the median income for a videographer is around $68,000 a year, with a range between $45,000 and $101,000 for your average annual salary. Now that's better than a poke in the eye. And if I had to answer the question, would I rather do something I hated for $68,000 a year or something that I absolutely loved and got me fired up and out of bed every morning? You better believe that I'm choosing $68,000 a year. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm in LA, I'm in Chicago, I'm in New York, I'm in these huge major metropolitan areas where $68,000 a year is not really going to cut it. Totally understand, and we're going to address that in just a second. However, I just want you to understand that there are multiple currencies that you should be looking at when you're considering a job. The amount of money that you make is one of them, but you need to be considering the thing that you're doing and does it fulfill you? That's a currency. Who are you doing that work with? That's a currency. How do you spend your time when you're doing that work? That's another currency. There's multiple ways to look at how well you're being paid, and the monetary compensation is just one of them. So look at the holistic view of compensation in today's day and age and understand that money is just one of them, but being fulfilled and adding value in your life in terms of the things that you do is another way of looking at these things. And I personally believe that you should be choosing all of those things and analyzing them in real time to come up with your decision. Now, how could you get to a $68,000 or even $100,000 mark per year as a videographer? Now we're going back to this concept of treating your creativity as a business, and it's all just simple math. If you look at my mentorship group that I'm a part of, the Ambitious Filmmaker Network, we do a mentorship session where we talk all about this 100K mindset. And it's very simple to understand, and it comes down to your internal hourly rate. If you value your time at $100 an hour and you're working 20 hours on a particular project, plus a 25% profit margin, you would be looking at $2,500 per project for something that you take on. In order for you to make 50 grand a year at that type of a rate, you would be completing 20 projects a year with that number in mind. And if you needed to make 100 grand a year, you would be doing 40 projects a year with that rate in mind. $100 an hour times 20 hours per project. And that all makes sense. But here's how you can continuously increase the amount of money that you're making, not necessarily increasing the work. If you change or work towards changing your internal hourly rate at $200 an hour. You could do less projects, 10 a year for 50 grand and 20 a year for 100 grand, because you're charging more for your internal hourly rate. Your client doesn't need to know this, you need to know this. And as you build towards working a higher internal hourly rate, you start to add more of an experience rather than just shooting, editing, and turning over projects to your clients. There's more on this that we're going to go over in this channel right now, but I just wanted you to start to reverse engineer the process of how you would be able to make a particular salary. And it all comes down to math, and it all comes down to your ability to cultivate clients, which brings me to my next point. Now that we've established there's the demand and we figured out how we can get you the particular salary that you want, we need to talk about how you're going to obtain clients. Now, I cover client acquisition in a different video in terms of how to get started as a videographer. So if you're looking for a much more extensive explanation, go and check out that video as well. But really, it all comes down to three different things. You need to niche down in the area that you're going to serve as a videographer. You need to make sure that you can solve that client's problem within that niche. And then you need to make sure that you can showcase that you have a viable solution that would help that client solve the problems that they have within that niche. Now, some people would call this spec work, but at Ambitious Filmmaker Network and myself, we like to think of it as brand building work. So what you're doing is you're showcasing your ability to play to a particular niche, whether that's food photography or videography, whether that's health and wellness, whether that's automotive. You start to create work within that space with a very specific intent in mind. It's solving client problems so that they can do something for their particular customer. Remember, the opportunity is what drives business. So what opportunity are you taking advantage of to create content that's going to serve the client's needs? It's not only about whether it looks good on your Instagram or something that you can showcase of what a great editor you are. It's more about, can you solve a particular client's need and a client problem that allows them to do something for their bottom line? Is that generate more revenue? Is that obtain better clients for themselves? Is that to do some type of internal process and HR videos? You have to be able to accomplish a goal with the products that you're creating, with the videos that you're creating, in order to be able to serve that client the best. Once you serve that client well, that client is satisfied. When they're satisfied, they're going to tell other people. And that word of mouth marketing is going to be the best ROI for your business that you can possibly have, because it's going to allow you to cultivate a reputation of being a video expert within the niche and field that you are serving. I shoot spec work all of the time, especially if it's in an area or a niche that I want to do more valuable work in, and I don't have the portfolio to showcase what I'm capable of doing. That spec work allows me to start conversations with brands and creative directors that I otherwise might not have been able to do. It leads to the ability for me to have conversations that ask questions, that reveal opportunities for me to serve. Those opportunities for me to serve is a way for me to create more meaningful work and more meaningful relationships. Those meaningful relationships allow me to spread the word of what I'm capable of doing as a video expert in my field. We have to, again, to wrap all this up into a pretty little bow, we can do this creativity thing, and we can do it well. There is a demand, there is a salary, there are opportunities for us to serve. We just need to get serious about treating our lives as a business rather than just simply looking at it as a place for inspiration for creativity. Ladies and germs, if you like this video, like the damn video, I post content on a weekly basis on filmmaking tips and the business of being a creative. If this is something that you enjoyed, you found value from, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for post notifications. And with that in mind, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.